Hey there, it's Jerry Chevik from Peaceful Pets Aquamation. A lot of you out there have probably heard about that. Aquamation is now being approved for humans, actually, all across the country. It just became approved for California. And we join, I think it's about 17 other states. I hear Utah's is probably going to be the next state to legalize it as well. What's really interesting about this is that how fast it's spreading and how much news it's getting. So after the California news passed, I read about it in the New York Times. Oddly enough, I read a blurb about it in The Economist. And it was sort of all over the place. So it was cool. So today I'm going to read you something. This came in Wired Magazine, did a whole article on it. And I love Wired Magazine, great for you tech guys out there. The first thing I have to share with you, though, is the opening picture, which I really love. So here it is. Now, okay, so this is what I want you to think about. Okay, so let's see now. Here's a big toe. Now, this is about humans. Remember, this is about human aquamation. So how did the photographer get this picture? So my theory would be that he climbed inside with the deceased and shot outwards. Point of view, dead body. So you have really got to admire the pluck of that photographer. It's a great shot. So the name of the article is An Elemental End. And I got to give props to the writer, Haley Campbell, and of course, Spencer Lowell, who shot that fabulous opening shot. So here is the preamble to the article. And it kind of summarizes the state of aftercare pretty well. So traditional burial is a toxic nightmare. Cremation cross-contaminates ashes. The new way to go is alkaline hydrolysis, i.e. what we call aquamation. Dissolve the body into its chemical building blocks and pipe the runny remains away. We don't generally use runny remains as part of what we tell people, but I suppose that's true. So here's a couple cool things. Now, this article is really about UCLA's donated body program. They have a giant aquamation machine that's been there for, I think, a couple of years now. So anyway, this is one of the better explanations of aquamation that I've read. So Haley did a pretty good job with this. So let me read it to you. A biochemical reaction is taking place, and the flesh is dissolving off the bones. In the course of about 4 hours, their machinery is slightly different. Ours takes 20 hours. But in the course of about 4 hours, the strong alkaline base breaks down everything but the skeleton into the original components that built it: sugar, salts, peptides, and amino acids. DNA unzips into its nucleobases. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the nucleobases correctly. Cytosine, guanine, adenine, thymine. The body becomes a sterile, watery liquid that looks like weak tea. True. Now here's something that I didn't know, and it's kind of gross. So if you're listening to this video at night, you can treat it as sort of a creepy bedtime story. So she writes, cremation and burial, the most common ways that bodies are disposed of after death, haven't fundamentally changed in quite some time. We know that. The modern act of embalming, popularized during the American Civil War, didn't know that, is a physically violent one in which blood goes down the drain, untreated, really didn't know that, after being pushed out by embalming fluid pumped through the vascular system. Full of dyed pink, carcinogenic formaldehyde and other chemicals, the body is put into the ground, where its decomposition is delayed, but not entirely so. The chemicals seep out as the corpse putrefies, such a gross word, along with any drugs that were present at the time of death. Not good. In the U.S. alone, in the U.S. alone, 800,000 gallons of embalming fluid is buried every year. That's cancer-causing chemicals we just dump into the ground. Yuck. So here's the final quote, or the final passage, which I think is is pretty interesting too, and I never really thought about this. So they're talking about crematories, and they're talking about you and I, actually. They don't know that an hour into the process, a crematory operator will open the door and use a rake to hook the skeleton by the ribs and move it around to ensure the whole body is touched by flame. They don't know that, despite the best efforts of crematory operators, bone dust catches in the bricks of the retort, that is the chamber in which the deceased is burned. Cross-contamination of bodies is inevitable. Instead of chemicals leaking out into the soil, they end up in the clouds. Super yuck. Alkaline hydrolysis avoids all of that. It's really interesting stuff, and I will be changing my final directives from cremation to aquamation. Anyway, that's all the news that's fit to print for today. Thanks for listening, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.